Well, it's been a challenging period for sure for being underweight equities. I mean, I would say the flip side is that when you're underweight equities, essentially you're underweight US because I would say the counterpart of our underweight US has been to have a more constructive stance on Europe and on emerging markets, and that has done relatively well. So I think there's a world out of the US. But coming back to your point on earnings, I think there is a big debate here because you read a lot of excitements about how earnings season was in Q4. And first, it wasn't good in Europe at all. That's the first point. But even in the US, you see that out of those magnificent seven, the year-on-year trend of earnings, is down 1% actually. Earnings down 1% in the US, excluding magnificent seven. So that's not as if, and we had a huge growth surprise in the US last year, GDP growth surprise, and huge inflation still. So what happens when this inflation keeps normalizing, which is our view, and we are in that camp that inflation is going to keep normalizing, and you see the automotive second-hand prices in the US, they are coming down very fast, as an indicator that things are definitely cooling as well. So hard to defend a huge positive earnings momentum, and valuations, they are what they are, but they are not particularly attractive.
Speaking of valuations, can I just ask you about real estate? Because what we've seen from Vonovia telling us that there are problems in the German real estate market, valuation is an issue. You've got an overweight on real estate. Are you still feeling that that is a good idea given the news flow we're getting out of Germany today?
Well, definitely. I think that what we just said about long duration, on bond yields probably now going downwards, bond yields going downwards, I think this is going to be a support for the real estate sector. Now, specifically on Vonovia, what I find really interesting is that the wording of the CEO about price correction, is very, very excessive in my view, because we've had a 10-15% decline in house prices in Germany. That's not the end of the world. But more interestingly, I think that we had a huge supply issues in Europe overall on housing, residential housing, before this interest rate cycle started. So now that we've had about 2 years of very, very low new build, you can say that this housing shortage is going to get worse, not better. And so unfortunately for people, I think housing, is still going to be expensive. And that's is very supportive for companies such as Vonovia in that space. Their assets value is unlikely to decline very much from here.